Hi, it's Colette from the Speech Meadow, and I'm going to talk about routines in speech therapy. So I'm a big fan of having routines in speech therapy. This works really good for those really young kids that are, that are emerging, or those kids that are super anxious about what's going to happen, those kids that can be super rigid, those kids that are they have very limited attention spans. I find that establishing a routine is really important. So the very first thing that I do when I do establish a routine is, and that's the same for everybody, is we always sit down and talk about what is going to happen during speech therapy that day. So I do have visuals out saying, okay, so we're going to go through the routine of, we're going to go over what's happening today. We're going to read a book. And again, this kind of depends on what kind of therapy they're having, and that we're going to play 2 games, and then we're all done. And so that helps kind of reduce some of that anxiety that some of those kids have about what's going to happen next. What are we going to do? Am I going to miss gym? Am I going to miss lunch? Am I going to, is this going to take forever? It tends to reduce some of that, especially since once we kind of have it established. It does take a while for some kids, longer than others, but it does tend to take a little while to get it really established. And so it just really helps calm those kids down. Now, those kids that are really rigid and really sort of stuck on routines or get anxious when routines get changed, sort of once we've had a good established routine done, I will start mucking with it a little bit, just to kind of teach those kids some of that resiliency and some of that, and some strategies for them when things do change. So, and if you're at school or if you're in a therapy, like, things happen. I have had power go out. Fire drills have happened in the middle of speech therapy. And so teaching those skills will really help those kids later on with therapy. So we talk about things like, when we go through if it's a known change in the schedule, a known change in the routine, we talk about it in their schedule. Like, look, this is different. Oh, look, we are going to have a guest come in, so we need to end therapy early today. We are, we're all going to be doing, this would be pre-COVID, but we're all, well, not necessarily, we're going to have an assembly of the whole class, of the whole school, and so we need to go back early, or certain guests are coming in today, or certain activities are happening, and that. So we start working on some of those strategies, and then we also start working on some of those strategies about what happens when it's an unexpected change. So, like, sometimes we don't know when the fire drills are going to happen. Sometimes we don't know when certain activities are going to happen, or if there's an emergency and we need to change things. We don't know that. So through that, we then start teaching how to deal with and how to regulate yourselves when they're calm, when there are. So, like, asking a teacher, saying, I need help. Just some of those general things that kind of help. So that's kind of why I use a lot of routines. I really like them. The kids really like them. It's easy to plan for therapy because it's a routine, and there's a certain structure to it and a certain sameness. So I know that with little Johnny, I always need to have a book. I need to play a game. We need to do, breathing exercises, and then we need to be done. So, yeah, and it does actually cut down on some of that planning time, because it's not sort of wide open. It's structured. Anyways, that's why I use routines. Anyways, have a great day. Bye.